Let yourself arrive. Welcome to the Sacred Resonance Podcast. I'm Reverend Larry J. Morris III, and I am glad you're here. Take another breath with me. Deep breath, really feeling the air enter your body, your lungs, and releasing the air fully. Exhale. And then simply allow your breath to return to its natural rhythm of breathing. And let's just spend a moment just noticing the breath. Again, no need to change it. Just notice. I think that sometimes we imagine growth must feel like a moment for it to matter. Like something is going to click or something is going to shift. And then all of a sudden, we are different. We are the person that we've always wanted to be, or the person we thought that we would be. In a moment's notice, things are clear, aligned, settled. And in my experience, that's not usually how growth happens. What I keep coming back to is this: emergence is not a moment, emergence is a practice. It's not something that you arrive at, it is something you return to again and again and again and again and again. And I think part of the reason this can be difficult for us is because we've been taught to approach growth like something to master, right? Like if we do it just right, if we are consistent enough, are perfect enough, or we practice the thing perfectly enough, then we'll get there. We'll get to this place of growth, this place that we want to be. But I'll speak for myself. My life doesn't actually work that way, right? That has not been my experience. My spiritual life doesn't work like that. I'm too queer for that, for this idea that you have to go to this straight line and do these things and this thing is going to happen. Doesn't work for me. I don't experience my relationship with the sacred as something that I have to get right every single time, every single day, in the same way, and practice these practices at the same time in particular ways. I experience my relationship with the sacred as something that I return to. The practices that help me connect with divine mystery. They're practices that I return to. For me, one of the places that I return to is my altar. I have an altar that I sit at, and I also create these seasonal prayers. I call them seasonal invocations. And so I create them with my understanding of what's going on in my life. I kind of look at my dreams and maybe look at a Ifa reading that I received or prophetic words that I received or just, things that I can intuit, right? And so I develop a seasonal prayer from those experiences. And sometimes I sit at my altar every single day for a month, 30 days, 31 days straight. And then sometimes I don't. Sometimes I pray that seasonal invocation every day, every single day. Sometimes I also record the invocation so that I can just listen to it. And then sometimes I don't engage either the altar or that particular prayer for days. And what I've learned over time is that the practice is not there to control me, right? The practice is there to serve me. The practice is there to help me connect and engage with myself and with the divine, with the sacred, in an honest way. I think the moment that practice has become rigid, like I have to do it this way at this time every single day, for me, it can lose its intention. It can become something that I perform instead of something that I inhabit. And for me, there's a difference. And I think there are other folks who also get stuck. We think that inconsistency means failure, right? We think that missing days means that we've fallen off. We think that if we can't sustain a particular rhythm perfectly or a particular practice perfectly, that practice does not count. But what I've learned is that returning counts, coming back counts, honesty counts. And even as I record this, for the last 6 to 7 years, I've been reading the Bible with a close friend of mine. Each year we do a different plan. We read different translations. We have different rhythms. In some seasons, both of us are on it. We read that scripture every day, comment every day. And other times, we miss days. And since I trust y'all, I can be honest, sometimes we have missed weeks. You hear me? Our practice that we have been doing every day, we missed for weeks. In fact, this week, I looked up and I realized that I missed 7 days. 7. That's the whole week. And when I realized I missed that many days, I was like, how did I miss that many days of a practice that I've been doing daily? How? And maybe the how was not important. What mattered wasn't that I missed the days. I think what mattered is that I returned to the reading. Even my friend, we text each other, remember the readings, remember and return. I think there's something powerful about returning. And so once I remember that I missed those 7 days, I did not catch up all at once. Sometimes I do. But I did return to the practice of engaging the scriptures, reading what my companion had to say about it, and then adding my own thoughts. So that day I checked in, I re-engaged the practice. Because the practice was never about perfection. It was always about relationship. This practice of reading the scripture was about my relationship with the sacred, with myself, and with my companion, with my friend. And I think that's what emergence actually looks like, right? It's not some dramatic shift. Sometimes we think that we come out of winter into this spring and this dramatic shift. But I think emergence is a series of returns, right? It's not a one-time decision. It's something that we decide to do time after time after time, again and again and again. Emergence for me is choosing again. It's coming back again. It's realigning again. Even when you don't feel like it. Even when you've drifted. Even when you're not sure if the practice is working. What's forming in you is not built on intensity. And I know some of us feel like our spiritual lives have to be intense for it to be meaningful. I've had intense moments and I appreciate those moments. I think they're helpful. But our spiritual lives don't have to be a series of intense moments for it to be meaningful, right? It can be soft and gentle. It can be returning to practices that help us get beyond ourselves and connect with ourselves. I think emergence and spiritual growth is built on rhythm. It's built on honesty. Sometimes I just ain't got it that day, right? I think that this emergence in our spiritual lives is built on the quiet decision not to abandon yourself. And I think we need to release this idea that there's one right way to do it, right? There's one spiritual practice that everybody enjoys, that gets everybody connected to themselves, to the divine, and to each other. I don't think that's true. Some people meditate every day. Some people journal every day. And some people need that consistency, and that's real. They should honor that. But that's not the only way. You can have a toolbox of practices, right? Things that you return to. Things that meet you in different seasons of your life, when you have different capacities, different emotional capacities. It's a reminder that our lives are not static, and so our practices don't need to be static either. there can be, and there should be, I would say, some fluidity in our practices. What matters most is not that you do this spirituality thing perfectly or try to, because none of us can do it perfectly. Can I just relieve us of that weight now? None of us can do life perfectly or this spiritual life perfectly. It's not a such thing. But what matters is that you stay in relationship with whatever helps bring you back to yourself, back to the divine, and back to the community. So when I say emergence is practice, this is what I mean. You don't become all at once. You become every single time you choose to return to what is true. Every single time you choose to return to that which strengthens you, sometimes challenges you, and connects you with the divine mystery, with the sacred, with yourself, and with community. So, what I want to do is offer you this question: where in my life am I being invited to practice instead of trying to get it right? Where in my life am I being invited to practice instead of doing it right? And what would it look like to return without judgment? What would it look like to return to a practice without judgment? Beloved, you are not behind because you had to begin again. Beginning again is the practice. Beginning again is the practice. If you want to deepen your journey, you're welcome to follow me at sacredresonance.co. As we close, I invite you to take one more breath with me. Let this breath be enough to have noticed what stirred, right? What stirred in this moment? What is alive? What is resonant in this moment? And let that be enough. Beloved, I will meet you again in what is still unfolding. Until next time.